My name is Kat, or the Fair Librarian, and welcome to a new video. Today is going to be my September wrap-up. This video might be a little more rambly, chaotic mess than my usual wrap-ups because normally what I do when I finish a book is I write down some thoughts in my reading journal. Like, I don't really take notes while I'm reading it, but when I finish, I write something down. But I haven't done that in September for any of these books. So I don't really have things to look at, or like, thought out what I'm gonna say about a book. So it's just my rambles, that you're gonna see here. So we'll see how it goes. In the month of September, I read 7 books, and as usual, I'll talk about them in the order of like how much I like them. So starting with my least favorite book, working my way up to my most favorite. So first, I read La forteresse du Xiang by Raphael and Alexandre Morion. This is the 3rd album in the Bicoastal series, which is a comic series that I've been reading this year. And I didn't dislike this book, but I've liked every installment in this series less and less. So yeah, a little sad about that. It started off historical fiction, then some magical elements got introduced, but they don't play a super important role. They stay pretty minor. About this group of French Navy people in the 17th century who, due to a series of events, end up in the army of this fictional Asian country. This 3rd installment was just so fast-paced that it became really hard to follow what was going on sometimes. And like, there was a heist element in it that was done in like 3 pages. The full thing. It's just, it needed more space to breathe, more time to breathe, maybe split it up into 2 albums, because usually, like with these French comics, the standard ones are either 48 or 52 pages, so you have like a very set length in them. So like, I get that you can just add 10 pages to that very easily, but this is one like 52 page album that easily could have been 2 52 page albums. Like, enough stuff happened, enough story happened that like easily could have happened. So yeah, I didn't love this. This is the final volume that is out currently. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to continue on when the 4th one releases. But yeah, this was pretty disappointing to me. Next, I have Going Bicoastal by Dahlia Adler. This is a YA contemporary, some romance, whatever. So we have our main character, Natalia, and her parents are divorced. Her mom lives in LA and her dad in New York. And so she has to choose with whom she's going to spend the summer, because usually she lives in New York with her dad, but her mom really would like her to spend the summer in LA. So she has this decision to make, and then the narrative splits and we get alternating chapters of like what would happen if she stays in New York, what would happen if she goes to LA. And her full name is Natalia, but her mom always calls her Nat and her dad calls her Tally or Tal. And so it's easy to tell in which of the two you are, because in the chapters where she's with her mom in LA, she's referred to as Nat, and in the chapters with her dad in New York, she's referred to as Tal. And so in both of them, she has a romance. In New York, it's with a girl called Ellie, and in LA, it's with a boy called Adam. I did like her romance with Adam more than with Ellie, because I felt like her romance with Adam was just a lot more balanced, whereas Ellie, whenever they would do stuff together, it would always be what Ellie was interested in, because Ellie was very much into music, so we would go to concerts and stuff like that, and it was often like about what Ellie wanted to do, and Tal sort of joining Ellie when that wasn't really done the other way around. I mean, it's a little bit harder because Natalia is very much into drawing and stuff like that, so that's a little harder to do together, but I feel like Adam did a lot more effort into showing an interest in what Nat was interested in, what she does in her spare time. Also, we have Natalia is Jewish, and so with the Sabbath, I feel like Adam sort of was much more interested in that, and she would invite him over and he would help her prepare the meal and stuff, whereas Ellie came over once, and to say it felt disrespectful is not, it's not fully accurate, but it felt like she didn't attempt to understand, to adjust, to make sure that she didn't break any rules, or like just some certain things that I know, like the one that I'm thinking about, they have like a family that they're often spending the Sabbath with, that is really strict at like not using any technology, so no phones, no screens, no nothing, and so in that regard, we have Ellie just pulls up her phone at some point, and so like it wasn't intentional, and then when there was kind of like maybe not, she did put it away, so I don't like, she wasn't trying to be disrespectful in any way, but I just felt like one conversation could have prepared her a little bit more, and if you're participating in a cultural thing that you don't really know a lot about, you can ask a few questions, and I feel like Adam just felt a lot more prepared in those instances. I hope I'm making sense. I just think that with Adam, it was more like give and take, whereas with Ellie, Tal had to give a lot more than that was returned to her. So yeah, I liked the LA timeline a bit more because of that. But ultimately, I thought that this was a fun story. I read it on the plane. It kept me entertained. And it gave me what I wanted. I give it 3.5 stars. It is not perfect. I don't know that it's very memorable, but I think that for the target audience, you know, I think that's going to be very good. There is a lot of queer representation in the book in various different ways. We have also just a very like different ethnicities, different cultures. As I said, the main character is Jewish. You know, so we have a diverse cast of characters in it. And I liked it. So I gave it 3.5 stars. Then I have The Water Legacy by Megan Linksi and Alicia Rades. This is a new adult fantasy romance set at this school university thingy with elemental magic. So it is the second book, and I still liked it, but not quite as much as the first one. I really enjoyed the first one. I really loved the whimsical world. That was still true. It still felt very like whimsical and sort of a girl's fantasy, because we also can get that in adult books. Like, it really annoyed me with the first book that like there were reviews on Goodreads saying that it was basically a children's book because it had like unicorns and stuff, and I'm like, that's not what determines whether it's for children or not. Why can't we have unicorns? But so yeah, it's a very whimsical world. We have, why can I think of their names? Sophia and, who's the male lead? Liam. Sophia and Liam. They have a romance. We also have part of like the main group. We have Jonah and Imogen, who are also just really good friends of them. And so, yeah, it's, you get them, they're each from like a different tribe because they have this elemental magic. And so you have the water tribe, the fire tribe, the earth tribe, and the sky air tribe. So they're each from a different one. The two main characters, Sophia is from the fire tribe, Liam from the water tribe, which are age-old rivals. And so the first one, we had a bit of an enemies to lovers romance. In this book, we get that they have to really keep their relationship a secret, because like inter-house relationships are forbidden by law. And so yeah, they have to they're punished quite severely. But I actually think that was kind of, you know, inconsistent almost, because we have these laws, and we see at one point that it's just in the news that there was an inter-house marriage that resulted in a child, and so both the parents were sentenced to death, I think. Or at least one of them was, and maybe the other, like, at least the mother was sentenced to death, I'm pretty sure. The father may have just gone to jail. I don't know. Anyway, it's, you know, pretty severe punishment. Yet every time someone finds out about Sophia and Liam, they're so chill with it. And apparently it's pretty obvious, because no one's surprised when they hear that they're a couple. It's fairly obvious. And just no one is bothered by it, and everyone is so chill, which just seems weird. Like a weird contrast. They're always like, oh my god, you can make sure that no one finds out. But then every character that we see is so unbothered by it, which just, the contrast with the severe punishment was a bit big and felt a bit weird. maybe our characters are just more progressive than the elders. I don't know. But yeah. Also in this book, both Sophia and Liam do things that I'm not, I don't know if I want to continue the series because I don't know how they're gonna come back from this. They did stuff that was objectively pretty wrong, and they're just not, you know, keeping things from each other, doing things from to each other, with good intentions, but like doing things are just not okay. And there are things that are severe enough that like I just don't know that I will buy them getting together again and them trusting each other again enough to be in a good, healthy relationship. And it's sad because I'm kind of invested in the plot. But the romance, I don't know. I might give it one more book and then decide based on that. I don't know. The third one is The Earth Legend, I believe. So yeah. I don't know. This was a weird experience. I liked it for the plot. I give it 4 stars for kind of the plot and because I don't dislike the characters, but well, I dislike Jonah. I'm not a fan of him. He's a little obnoxious. But other than that, I do like the characters. We're just doing bad stuff, and I was just like, no, don't. So, yeah. I don't know. Then I read The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty, the first book in the Amina Al-Sirafi series, which is a adult fantasy about a retired pirate who gets a task to get her crew back together and go on this like one final mission, which she doesn't really want to do because she has a family now, she has a child now, and she doesn't want to endanger them in any way, but she doesn't really have a choice. And so we go on this adventure. I went into this book with the wrong expectations. I think that the I think it's the UK cover, like the black one. It fits the vibe a lot better than like the yellow one with the boat on it. I feel it just I was expecting like a fun, campy adventure time at sea, just a grand old time, and that is not really what I got. One, we barely spent any time at sea, like on the boat itself, which I was a little disappointed in. Also, it just tried to tackle like more like themes, and it was a little bit more character driven than what I expected it to be. This book uses that narrative device where the main character, you know, like after the fact, she tells the story to this other person who is then writing it down. And I'm not sure that I love the way that was done. Like, the first book that comes to mind that does this too is The Name of the Wind, and I prefer how it was done there, where we get some just narration about also the present timeline where this person is writing it down, and we see more interaction. versus sometimes you would see Amina reacting to an interruption by the person who wrote it down, but we didn't get the interruption itself, which I found a little bit jarring. I didn't love that. I would have preferred to have gotten the interruption by the person writing it down and then the reaction to that. So yeah, there were some themes, like conversations about themes that just felt a little bit forced. And part of it might be I read the translation of the Dutch translation of this book, and those parts were the ones that just felt the most translated. Like, I don't know, and just having this paragraph that if it just feels very translated, it just automatically makes it a little bit cringy. Because that means that it's not really a good translation. And just that those were the moments that felt the most like that. So yeah, I don't know. I had problems with the translation. It was a little cringy in a lot of places, and felt very translated. And I have serious questions for the person who translated, with certain specific choices that they made in how to word a specific sentence. But that is something else. Yeah, I think I tried to sort of take that out of I try not to make that the thing of my review, because I'm reviewing the book as a whole, like as an immaterial entity, like the story that is being told in the way it's being told in, not the specific translation of the story that I've read, or at least that's what I attempt to do. But obviously it does affect my experience with it. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't bad. I think if I were to reread it in English this time, that I would like it a lot more than I did. I think if the second book comes out, I'll probably read it in English and not the translation, because it was something. Then I read Before They Are Hanged by Joe Abercrombie, which is the second book in the First Law trilogy. It took me a little while to get into it because it had been so long since I read book 1, and so I sort of needed to find my footing again. But as soon as that was okay, I really enjoyed it. I don't think I liked it as much as book 1, but I think it was fun. We have Glocta's POV. I really liked his. He's sort of in charge of defending the city, and I really enjoyed that plot line. Also just Major West, who is off to war and has to deal with this very arrogant but completely incompetent prince, which I really liked too. And like the Northmen were just like, why are these guys why are all these people following this guy? He's clearly useless. Because they're like used to like warlords and following the person who leads in battle, and as opposed to this prince just being the spoiled brat, who no one has ever said no to him, and he just completely incompetent, but everyone says like how brilliant he is and stuff like that. And just, I think it's really funny. So yeah, I liked Giselle's arc in this book. He sort of you know, life is like grabbing him and like punching him a few times, which may be good for his character. So he just, you know, he's becoming less of the spoiled brat than he was before. So yeah, I really liked it. I also think it's really funny how like try to impress people and people are just so unimpressed by him. Like, shut up. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm excited to read the third book and wrap up this trilogy. So yeah. Then I read The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. This is a literary sci-fi mystery. And those three components are important. I think a lot of the negative reviews I see are people, or I think, are just because it is too literary for the sci-fi people or too speculative for the literary people. I think with a title like this, I'm like, everyone goes in expecting a mystery, but the mystery also starts fairly late. So we have a big build-up, and I just think that the genre blendiness of this is the problem for a lot of people. But I really liked it. I thought that so this is about the apocalypse has happened. There is this fog that has covered the entire world, except this scientist has found a way to protect one island from this fog, and she just sends a message out in the world and says, okay, everyone who can make it to this island is welcome, and we're going to like keep humanity alive here, rebuild civilization, hopefully find a way to clear the world from this fog so that we can just, you know, continue on. And so we have this island where we have a bunch of villagers live, and then three elders who are like two, like the scientist who, you know, started this, and then two other scientists as well, and they have lived for a very long time, and then we have the villagers who don't live nearly as long. The book is narrated by Abi. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but Abi is an AI that connects every person on this island, so she can read everyone's mind. She knows what is going on the island. So we get this omniscient narrator that is also kind of a character, and so I thought that was very interesting. I liked the discussions on what makes a human, like what is humanity, stuff like that. We also have in the villagers, they're all about community and, you know, serving each other, and you know, the community is really, really important. And they're also really like I mean, the elders are almost like gods. Like they're worshiping them, they're serving them. The elders, like, you can question them. They're good, and they know what's best for us, even if we think that we don't understand why they make certain decisions. They always do what is in our best interest. And one of the elders ends up dead and has she's the one who built sort of the protection against the fog, but she has sort of implemented this feature that if she dies, it shuts down, and so the island will get flooded by this fog. And so problem because someone's murdered and like the villagers are like they don't know violence. Everything is always peaceful, friendship, whatever, like community. Violence is something that is really foreign to them. And so the idea that they would have done something like that is pretty much impossible. And then you also have the threat of this fog coming closer, and so you have this like you know, they only have so much time to solve this mystery. So that adds some tension to it. But as they're investigating this mystery, they sort of discover that maybe these elders are a lot more selfish than what they thought, and their decisions are often more self-serving than what is good for the community, and sort of they have to reckon with that. And yeah, I really liked those discussions, and then like the clear parallel to like, you know, like religion and religious leaders and stuff like that. So I thought it was very interesting. Yeah, there were just so many bits and pieces. I had so many theories that almost all of them turned out to be wrong, but one of them was like semi-true, so I'm proud of myself. But it's definitely a great discussion piece. I read this for the Rating Them Book Club, which is not the official name of that book club. It doesn't really have a name, but it needs one. So that's what I'm calling it from now on. It's in Rating Them's Discord. So I'll put our channel down below. And I'm really glad that we had this as the book club pick, because there was just so much to discuss in this. So yeah, that is The Last Murder at the End of the World. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really recommend it. It's really good. And then finally, my favorite book of the month was Piranesi by Susanne Clarke. This is an adult fantasy about this man called Piranesi, or, well, is it really his name? We don't know. There is this one other person who always calls him Piranesi, and he doubts it his real name, but he doesn't really know what his name is either, so we're just gonna go with Piranesi, you know? So, and he lives in this house with endless rooms, rooms full of statues, and on the, like, the lowest floor there is this ocean. Then we have the middle floor is sort of where he lives, and then we have the top floor with like a lot of birds and clouds and stuff like that. And sometimes like the halls, like they flood or stuff like that because of the tides. And there is this one other person in this house called the Other. Was a very mysterious figure, and so we follow Piranesi, who's just existing in this house, and then things happen, but I can't really say too much because if you go in knowing, you need to go in not knowing a ton, and then it's great. I did not expect the direction this book was gonna go in. It got a little emotional at the end. I may have cried a little bit. I really liked it. I thought it was beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really say a lot more than that because I don't want to ruin it. So just read it. It's not very long, so it wouldn't take you very long. Like, I've read this in a day. I just could not put this down. So yeah. Piranesi, read it. It is great. So those are my September reads. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have read any of these, let me know what you thought of them in the comments. I'd love to talk about them and discuss them. And also let me know what was your favorite book that you read in September. And I think that's everything. And I hope to see you again in another video.